One of the things that's been consistent in American education as it pertains to Black people is how urban education has always been almost synonymous with colonial education. If you look at the type of education Africans received under the leadership of European colonizers, you'll see that it's almost identical to what we see in America today. For instance, colonial schooling was education for subordination, exploitation, the creation of mental confusion, and the development of underdevelopment. If you look at urban schools today, what you see, you're not going to see a lot of children being educated to become leaders, to be creators, to be the leaders and innovators of thought. Instead, what you see are a lot of people being trained to follow orders. A lot of people being trained to move when they're told to move, to stay to the right in the hallway, walk in a straight line. You'll see a lot of Black children being taught how to put on khakis and polo shirts, which is basically a uniform of retail workers. They're being taught, not even being taught, they're being trained to be workers for someone else. Second thing, the colonial education system in Africa was not designed to empower the African to become successful rulers of their own destinies. And that's the same with the education that Black people are receiving in America. Black people in America are not receiving an education that trains them to be owners of their own businesses, to be leaders of and creators of their own educational systems. They're being taught how to fit into a system that already exists as opposed to building something for their own. Third goal of a colonial education system. Its goal was to make its students snub their noses at all that was African and to worship all that was European and capitalist. And that is precisely what we do in public education in America. Black children receive very little reinforcement of their own greatness, their own value through the study of African history, African American history, or Black literature. All of that stuff is extra stuff if they get it at all. It's elective education as opposed to the core education, which is almost universally about white people. And there's no serious discussion of economic systems other than capitalism. When economic systems are taught, are discussed, they're discussed in relationship to how bad they are compared to capitalism. There's no real thought about economic systems. We get taught the religion of American patriotism and American capitalism. And finally, colonial schools that were established taught Africans to perform menial tasks that help Europeans better manage their resources. And that's the argument that I'm making throughout my entire book, that the education that Black people receive is not leading them towards empowerment. It's not leading them towards a place where they can control their own destiny. It's training them to be better workers in the system that already exists. And a handful of Black people will be able to make it as managers, will be high-level managers, and it'll look like the system works, that if you work hard enough, you can achieve this super high place in society and you'll have a nice Tom Ford suit and a nice European luxury sedan. But for most people, they're going to fit squarely into that menial task worker role, because that's what the system is designed to do. The system is not designed to elevate Black people. Case in point, if you look at how schools are funded, almost universally, people believe that education is the key to lifting people out of their condition, improving their condition. And yet, if we look at the people most in need of upliftment, most in need of getting a leg up on society, the poorest people in America, they get the very worst education America has to offer. And the people that already have the most get the very best education America has to offer. It makes no sense if the goal is to actually elevate all people. But it's not. The goal is to maintain the system. And when you have the people in power giving their children the very best education they could possibly get, and the people out of power getting the very worst education available, the system will, as it is, will continually perpetuate itself. These people are going to be rulers. These people are going to be workers. It's time to change the system.